welcome to part 12. I was going to say 13 for some reason. 13 is going to be the next one, isn't it? That's unlucky for some, so we'll have to be careful. Right, this one, first thing we need to do is create a new Python file for this tutorial. So this is 12. There we go. And what are we doing this time? So the main thing is that now we have very basic mining happening. We want to have depth and layers and like seams of ores and different materials and things in our terrain. So what should we call this? 9. We'll call this 9 layers / depth in terrain. That's the main thing. And yeah, let's just put some other things that we want to do while I'm here. Just from the comments, I just got these up to remind me. How about adding depth into the world? Thank you, Code and Craft. Code and Craft, that's what we're going to look at. What has Ethan said? You should also make the terrain generation speed slower. Oh yeah, when we're building and we're generating the terrain, we need to, well, basically not generate the terrain or do something like Ethan Rodriguez is suggesting so that we have better performance when we're building. Let's just add that to our notes as well. So we'll call like 10.0 build like no smooth smooth performance when building, etc. Oh, I've just remembered something that isn't going to be in the comments. I think last video I forgot to put, or I put the, basically when we're iterating over all the subsets to look at all the vertices to detect where there's a cube or a cube shape in the terrain to mine it, to move it down. Once we found the position of that cube, I think we then go on to iterate over all the remaining subsets, which we shouldn't do. Once we found the one cube, we can just break out of that iteration, that loop, because we've done it. So you may see, if you're using the existing code or the equivalent to the existing code, if you're coding along yourself, when we're mining, there's like a little bit of a jolt, or it's not very smooth, and that's the reason for that. So we need to sort that out. So break from loop once mined. That should be just like one line just to move it out of the way or to add it, something like that. And there was something else that just flashed into my head, like a bug or something like this. Nope, I can't remember it. Can't remember that. Anyway, smoother performance when building. What else have people said? So depth, that's the main thing. Yes, Anush, we are certainly moving towards the mine part. Definitely. Oh yeah, Anush has said, what about we tidy the code up a bit? This is definitely something we have to do. I mean, a function in its own file, unnecessary parts in the main file. And then you've suggested it might improve performance. I don't think it will improve performance. Maybe it will. Hopefully you're right. I don't think there's any, there may be indirectly, as far as I know, performance improvement because we're just better organizing our code and therefore we're more likely to spot bugs in the sense of doing things slowly or repeating them. Whereas if our code is all kind of smushed into these really large files, we might not spot places to optimize them. So indirectly, we certainly will make it faster. Directly, I'm not so sure, but hopefully you're right. But yeah, that's the big thing we need to do. Let's call that 9.2. I don't know which order to put it in. 9.2, we need to, basically, because we're working on mining, we need to take all of the mining and the building stuff and put that in its own module. So create dedicated mining / building module. I just remembered something again as I was writing that. What was it? I've forgotten it again. Why is it when I try and remember it just like jumps out of my imagination? Anyway, I'll try and catch it faster next time I'm thinking about something else. Was there anything else? Oh yeah, saving the file. So this is something to do in the future. So I'll put this as point 11. Save file e.g. current terrain with builds, etc. So we can save our game, which would be really important for this game. Okay. Oh yeah, that was what I was trying to remember. Let's put this into like a 10.1. So improve trees plus. Well, actually, not just improving the trees. That's just about like using different models maybe, or different textures and different modules. Models, not modules. But really, we need to combine trees for efficiency. At the moment, we're just adding new trees, and so if you've wandered across a massive terrain, you'll start to notice the silky smooth 60 frames dropping to 30, dropping to 15 as it gets bigger and bigger. So it's not really sustainable, and it's not therefore really infinite. I don't know, we're never really talking about an infinite terrain, but we are talking about massive terrains. So that with the current tree system, that's not possible. So fairly easy. We just need to combine the trees in a simpler way than we're doing with the combining the terrain. So in fact, it's not that complicated. So what I need to do this video, really it's all about layers and depth in the terrain, because now we can do mining and we can stand. I think that was the last thing we did. We can stand where we've mined because we're recording where we've mined in the terrain dictionary. But what we need to do first before spawning new terrain around where we're mining to give the illusion of depth, and to create different layers and ores and things. Before we do that, because it's going to add a lot of code, we need to, create our dedicated mining building module 9.2. So I don't want that to take up the whole video, so I'll try and do that as quickly as possible. And hopefully I can do some of this layers and depth stuff in this video. Right, let's get going. Okay, let me show you some stuff first of all, so we know what we're aiming towards. So I prepared so far as getting some kind of system working. So by the way, I've just taken off the trees. I've just hit G, so we're no longer, I've toggled off generating the terrain. So we've got our cave system, our old cave system, which is going to be legacy. We're not going to use that anymore, I don't think, going forward. But what we can do is turn on or toggle on building mode, and we can build as we did before. And we can destroy those blocks. Oh, right. So what just happened was I did destroy this block, but you've noticed it's now spawned some blocks around it, which kind of illustrates what's going on. Maybe if I build a block here in the middle of the air, and let's say I'm going to mine in the ground, what's going to happen is it's going to spawn a new block underneath that position, and then we want to spawn 4 blocks around the place where we were mining, so there. And then when we spawn that in the terrain, if it's legitimate to do so, then it creates the illusion of depth. So let's just do some mining here. So there we go. So what's happened there is, like last video, we've moved the vertices down, or slightly differently, I've actually moved those vertices into the air so we can't see them anymore, and then I've spawned a whole new block underneath. And what if we do another one? Now it looks like we're digging into the ground, and we are. I can dig that one, and I can mine this one, and I can mine this one, and so on. So now we've got layers. Let's just, sorry, I'm just trying to do another one. Oh, that's another thing we need to do. It's awkward, isn't it? I need to recreate something closer to the actual Minecraft, what would you call it, like UI kind of system, where I think you don't kind of get blocks in the air like that, but instead, wherever we're kind of pointing our build tool, it kind of attaches to the terrain or other built blocks in front of us. So there we go. And now we're in our little hole. So how we've done this is just like over there. if we need to, we've spawned what we might call cave walls around the position that we're mining, and that gives us, as we go down, I like saying infinite, but something like infinite, there we go, we're in the hole, infinite layers, and that'll look really good once we've got different kinds of soil and materials and things like that. Okay, actually, can I get down here and have a look? Can we see the mined? I don't think I can drop down any further. Can I mine this bit and then go down? I want to kind of drop down there. Yeah, oh, I can't quite see it, but you get the idea. Okay. Right, and of course, another thing, I've left this in here so I can illustrate what's going on where we're spawning those blocks. But if we've got built blocks here and we mine them, whoops, we don't want that to happen. We don't obviously want to mine around them. So we need to create a check like, if this block is in the air, don't spawn cubes around it. Okay, so that's what we're moving towards in this tutorial. So I can change the comments up here to 12. And what was the other thing that I just talked about that we need to add to the list? It was something like 9.3. Oh yeah, different, what should we call them? Material types in layers, ores, etc. Different minerals, and correct spawning when mining a built block. Oh, and the other thing was, which I should do down here, maybe 10.2, improve build tool UI system, so closer to Minecraft. Okay, so we've got a list. Right, so I need to go and create a new file, and this is going to be our build tool, dedicated build tool file. I'm just using VS Code here. So I've got the Python extension. Is that what it's called, an extension in VS Code? Let's just add a, I forgot what you call this, DOS string? It's not a DOS string, something like that. We want to just remind ourselves what this is. Build tool system for mining and building. Smiley face. Right. Well, let's wish ourselves good luck. Good luck. Okay. And try and save this. And remember, we want to save this module or any other module that we make inside the folder for where our main file is. At the moment, our main file is PyCraft tutorial 12. That's the latest edition of our main file. I guess I could tidy this up by putting all the previous tutorials in another folder, but that might confuse people when they're trying to find the code. Anyway, let's call this mining system. Mining system. So mining underscore system. We use the underscore because it's easier to deal with underscores than it is spaces, especially if you're using the console or the terminal. There we go, saving. So we want to yoink all of this code. Where is it? So starting with our building code. So the BTE, the build tool entity, our different colors for soil, block type, build tool, the build, and what we did last tutorial, the mining, we need that. Okay, it's not too much. We need to recreate that though in the file I just made. So I'm going to grab everything. We won't really be able to use it as it stands, but just as a reference, we'll plonk that in there, save that. So now we've broken our code. So if, like me, if you're kind of creating this as you're going along, definitely make yourself a new file so that your original file, where you're taking everything from, will still work and is a reference point. If everything goes terribly wrong, you can go back to it. So I can go back to the tutorial 11 code. It's still intact, so I can kind of mess around with this. I don't have to worry too much. Also, in our input, we're going to have key presses like scroll up and scroll down made by Ethanolos or Ethan Rodriguez. This stuff is also going to have to belong in the mining system. So it's going to have its own input function. Is there anything else? Yeah, build mode here. So this is going to have to go in there, and also build mode itself, the F, and this. Oh, so basically everything except Q, escape, and G needs to go in our new module. So let's put that in there. So in fact, before I paste that in, let's make ourselves, oops, I'm not at the start yet. Here we go. So we're going to make a class, and I guess it will be a mine system. Should we call it mining system, like that? Sorry, I've got habits from other programming languages. I don't need the parentheses there, do I? And then we're going to have a constructor, or our initialization function with the double underscores, or dunders, because it's a special function. And this is where we're going to create all its member variables, like this BTE model, that will be in here. Oh yeah, do I need this here? Do I need to declare that there? I think I do. And usually in Python you'll see self. I just like using this. You can use whatever you like. This .bte equals, and then I want to use all that. But before I get carried away, I want to make the other function. I want to make an input function, and that is going to take this. So all of the, remember, member functions or methods belonging to this class, the first parameter has to be reference to the object that is made using this class. So you just have to use this, or self, whatever you want to call that. But that will disappear when you're calling it from another module. You don't have to worry about this. So it's kind of just a behind the scenes functional thing. And so we do want a key. And now that will make a bit more sense. So there we go. To make sure all the indents are correct. So what we're going to do in the main module to make sure that input works is, here we are. So at the very top of our main function, after we've imported our modules, we definitely want to import, like we've imported our cave system, our tree system, we now want to import from mining system import, and it was called mining system. There we go. And now that we've done that, we can say, and again, but for our mining system build tools, etc. So just make a little note to ourselves so we know what this is. Oh, there was someone new. Oh yeah, could you make a tutorial to save file? Varchavs. Hopefully I've said your name fairly close. Varchavs. Let's use this guy. Varchavs. Sorry, I lost my file. Here it is. Varch. Can I call you Varch? Hopefully that's not rude. There we go. And we'll call that trees, caves. We'll call it mine for mining. No, we can't call it that, can we? we have to call it a mining system because that's the name of the class. There we go. We can come up with whatever variable here, but yeah, this is already set. I'll have to change this class name to mine if I wanted that to work. But it's a whole mining system. That's a little bit better. Okay, so Varch is our mining system. Obviously, you can call your mining system something that you prefer. Maybe your mum's name to honour your mother, whatever you like. Okay, so we've got our mining system. So that means in the main file's input, so Ursina kind of controls this, well, doesn't kind of, it does. It controls this input function. And what we want to do is get hold of our Varch, our mining system, and then we want to call input. And we want to pass into there key. So what that does, it takes whatever key has been pressed, and this is all handled by Ursina, and then passes that key into its own input function, which is here. And now, so it's just like being part of what was originally here. So all of this, we just put it into our new system, maybe change a few variables to belong to the class system, but everything else really stays the same. So let's go and get everything we need from the original. So I'm back in the original input function now. And maybe I'll just label that deal with mining systems key inputs. Thanks. Let's be nice and polite. And then we want to leave those there because that's just to do with the main file, but build mode and pressing these to change what block type we're using. We definitely need a new system there. What if we want to add hundreds of new mineral types? We don't have to change all that code as well. So we might update that. I need to add that to my to-do list. So let's just paste these in quickly and add that to the to-do list. Oh, they're all on the wrong indent. I think I can just do that. Yeah, there we go. So I selected them all and then pressed my tab. Okay, back in the main file. This probably belongs around here. 9.5. Improve block type selection via number keys. Hopefully that will make sense. So it's, yeah, okay. Right, so let's sort out this input function and in the mining system module, and this will also tell us some of the member variables that we're going to need. So we're going to need a build distance. So call that this.build distance, this.build distance. So back in our constructor, we need a this.build distance, and we can set the default value to 3. I think that's what we had before. Right, and we might as well make our build tool entity. So here it is. Oh yeah, build distance is 3, so we've done that one. Done. Oh, let's copy the comment though, so we're still saying thank you to Ethan. There we go. And yeah, so that's just one line there. Oops, I don't need to take this comment though. Now we can delete both those, so we've done those. So as we integrate this older legacy code into our new class, we can delete it so we know that we've done it. There we go. BTE equals entity. I might put these on new lines so we can see them. So wire text we're going to need, model cube, entity doesn't make any sense because we need to import Ursina into this module. Import Ursina, oh no, from, oh yeah, import, we just need to get the bits that we need. So from Ursina import, we need entity, we'll probably need color at some point, but I should only do these when as and when I need them. Wire text we need to load in here. So previously, in the main file, we were loading it there. So we can take that out. And I guess we could just, okay, well, I was going to say we could just add it in there, load it directly in, but let's be careful. Maybe we'll need it in another function. I'm going to call it this wire text equals wireframe png. So because we've imported Ursina, we should be able to just load, or entities, we should be able to just load straight in. That should be fine. That should be fine. So our texture wants to be this dot wire text now. So that's all okay. So I've got build distance, we've got our build tool entity. Let's just add a comment. Build tool entity. So that's a floating wireframe cube. For our future selves, so we know what we're talking about when we've forgotten what all of this code does. Okay, so we're still working on the input function. So we haven't got a build mode yet. So let's call that this.build mode, this.build mode, and we're calling a build function here. But that's going to have to be this.build and this.mine. So they're going to be functions that we need to create further down. So we need build mode, and I guess we want to be -1. I think we're using that toggle system we did about 5 tutorials ago. So let's just give ourselves a little key here. So -1 is off, 1 is on. There we go, for toggling. I'm just going to check, I'm just going to pause and just need to check some messages. Hello again. It was a picture message from my dad. He's cuddling with a cat. Good message. Good message. Right. So we've got build mode, and we were just doing. Oh yeah, these functions. Oh, I can just see another build mode here. So I'll correct that to this.build mode. Now we need the mine function, very important for this video, and build function. So let's create those. Let's create it on top of here. So def build, and remember we need the this or the self parameter, and we'll just pass in pass, because in order to be syntactically without errors, Python needs something within a function. You can't just leave a function empty like you can in other languages. So you can just use the pass keyword to let Python relax and just say, I'm going to work on it later. Just don't panic and let me test it. And then so we need a mine as well. We need a this parameter, and again just pass until we can actually get some real code in there. And I've messed up my tabs. There we go, pass. Okay, right. If key is F, this build mode, we multiply by -1. So that's our toggle. So, and it's just in one line, which is really satisfying, isn't it? Toggle build mode. There we go. I don't need to say on and off, because toggle means going on and off. So that would be a tautology. I don't need to say that. And let's just leave a note for our future self. Hey, future you, improve this system. Thanks. Yeah, we don't have to keep adding these or having to remember to add these when we introduce later on new block types. Yeah, we don't like this system. So let's just comment out this system at the moment, because I don't want to update it right now because I don't know exactly what's going to go there. But we'll keep the existing code in comment form and then work on it later. Like when we're going to reconstruct this classy thing, then it will be a time, which might be around now. Should we do it now? Yeah, so block types, B types. Basically, we want to be able to store different colors. Because we're in a class, we can kind of do the same thing. Let's just grab that. So I've pasted that. No, I haven't. I've cut that, and I'm going to paste it again in my initialization function. So where we say this ytex or this bt or whatever. So it's where you're creating your variables that belong to this class. Here, we're going to add our stone type. So what should happen is that when we want to create in the future new block types, we can just add them once into here and then maybe add its properties here, and then the rest of the code will kind of incorporate it automatically. So that works. So I'm thinking, just kind of think ahead, it's kind of like a list. So for things to happen automatically, like pressing a different key, basically we'll have a loop that goes over the length of the list of block types that we've got. So something like this. Let's try and do this now. Let's just add a comment. Our new block type system. And maybe if it gets complicated enough, it'll be its own module. That'd be exciting. Right. So this dot block types, and we'll end it with an S because it's going to be a list. So we're going to use the square brackets. And now we can just append these colors to it. Is this kind of working? Or can we use a dictionary? Ooh. But then the dictionary might take on a list. At the moment, it just needs a color. So let's keep it as a list. And we want to be able to iterate over it. So maybe, or can you do that in Python? I think you can iterate over things with an index, with dictionaries in Python from like 3.7 or something. I don't know. Right, but we'll keep it as a list. We haven't done a list for a while. So we want to say this dot block types append. That means add on to this list. At the moment we've got nothing. We want to add on this first color. And yeah, so we'll just drag this on there. I'm just thinking of something terrible, what I'm about to do. Obviously we're losing this shorthand, and I apologize for anyone who's just sitting there screaming and saying, no, just do it this other way, this simple way. Put that in the comments, and then I'll do that next video. I'll tidy it up. I just want to do this in a way that might be easier for people to follow. So now we're just going to add the other colors. So they're just being added to the list. There we go. So you've got Sonte. We've got Sonte, grass, soil. I'm not using full stops here. Soiled, and Ruby. And why not add another one? My nephew added netherite. So this block types append just means add this object, and these are color objects, to the list, and color RGB. Can you guess how to get to black? Red, green, and blue. 0, 0, 0. Well done if you got the correct answer. There we go. So now we've got a list. If we said somewhere else in the code, just a variable, how many block types equals length, so that's a function inbuilt to Python that gives you the length of a list that you put in here, and we said, well, what's the length of block types? That will give us how many we've made, and I don't have to count them anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it would return 5, and that's what I would use here. So it would just, every time we press a number, it would just go to that index if it exists. If the number is greater than the amount of block types we've got, then it would just go, I don't know, to 0 or something by default. Or we could just have a key that every time you press it, it goes to the next block type, so you can cycle through them. And we can do all that now based on this simple system. Okay, so we've got our block types. Now we're beginning to build our new system. So I can say goodbye to that class there. Block type. So current block type. So we want a block types, and then we want underneath that our current block type. So this would be what index we are currently at. So this block type equals 0. So that would be, that would be the first one that we've added to our list, which will be stone, i.e. id est stone. Good, good, good. So we've incorporated U. Build mode is -1. We've already incorporated that, haven't we? Build mode is -1, and we've added a comment. Right, the build tool. So this is, I believe, called in the update function, and what it control. Oh, we need to take off build distance. So I'm back in the main file now. We don't need a reference to the build distance because that's all handled internally by our mining system module. Block type we don't need. Build mode we don't need either. But we do need, global generating. And I guess we can put those on one line now. Which makes sense. Generating and can generate kind of belong together. Oh, this is nicer. So we're taking all of that code, putting in its own module. So, Anush, you should be very pleased. We are tidying up the code. And hopefully you're right. This will make it more efficient. Okay. Oh, yes, we're going to update. So, in update, here, the last thing that we do is call the build tool. Now that's got an error coming up because it no longer exists in our main code, our main module. So we want to call, I've forgotten what it's called, varch, we want to run build tool. There we go. So this controls mining and building functions. There we go, just so we know that's a very important call, even though it's just that one tiny line. Without that line placed somewhere within the update loop, so this is the main game loop. I might just write that in here, our main game loop, big smiley face, none of the mining or building functions would actually work. Okay, so this is a very important function. So it's got to be called this.buildTool. No, it isn't. We need to, there we go. I've got to introduce a tab, so it's actually one of these, and I don't call it this.input, do I? And that's only if I'm calling it from another function within the class. But I do need to have it on the correct indent. So, in fact, I don't need a global build distance, don't need any more globals, because we're being much more sophisticated. There we go. Oh, it's quite a small function, and then introduce a tab. Just save that. I'm just going to pause for a second. And we're back again. I just warmed up my tea and put the chihuahua to bed. There we go. Important things. Sorry. Right. So it looks like, where are we? We're in the build tool. So this, let's just leave a comment to say this is called from the main update loop. So we know that where it's being called from and kind of how it fits with the rest of our code, which will be important to know later on. So if this build mode is -1, our build tool entity, its visibility is switched to false, and then return. Else this.bte visible equals true. Now we've got a lot of this.bte's here, so what I can do, and you can do this in most text editors, if not code editors, so if you go to edit, you can then go to replace, and I want to get hold of BTE, and you can see it's kind of highlighted all of those, and I want to replace that with this.bte. And I've just seen a problem that might happen, is that if I've already changed it to this.bte, it's going to be changed to this.bte.thisBT or something crazy like that. And often in text editors, there's a way to, is this extra things? What's this? 3 of 24. There may be ways to replace one, replace all of them. Match whole word. Can I do this BTE dot? And what's this one? Match whole word and then match case. I definitely want to match case, and I want to match the whole word. No, it still picked up this dot. Can I do space? Now that I've got a space there, it's only matching the ones that hasn't got the this dot. We did it! And then I want to press this button to replace all of them. So that's replaced 12 of them. Brilliant. Okay. And now I've just got to get these on the correct line. Looks like they just need a space. Whoops. So I've got to go down and do a space. Oh! And I accidentally deleted. I didn't quite write things correctly. What's wrong there with if this build mode? Oh, it's because I don't have a build mode yet. So let's go and create that. Oh, I do have a build mode. But our build tool doesn't have a this. There we go. That sorted that out. So we do, of course we have a build mode. We made that a little while ago. Visibility is true. oh, B2E.position. So I've got to be careful with those replacing all. We also need reference to our subject and the camera. And we need this dot build distance as well. Oh, it missed these because these were in brackets. And this dot block type, which we do have. Now, this kind of won't work here, will it? What's going on here? So we're in build tool. So we're setting its color to the current block type's color, but block type isn't a color at the moment. It's just an index to the color on our list. So we want to say this dot block types, and then in square brackets use this dot block type as the index. So the index at the moment is 0, so it'll take the first item on our block type list, or whatever block type we've switched to. I guess we could kind of adapt this at the moment. You know what? I won't worry about that. I won't worry about that until later on. Right, we do need to get reference to the subject and the camera. So shall I do that just in the build tool, or should we have that in the initialization? I think for performance, we should do it right at the beginning. So when we initialize our mining system, we need to get hold of the subject or the player, and we need the camera. And I'll use underscore so we know that those are just the arguments. So this subject equals underscore subject, i.e. we're grabbing hold of whatever we've passed in, and then this dot camera equals underscore camera, so it gets hold of that. And so that these, i.e. this subject and this camera, are called very similarly are called something very similar to what we've got in our original code. So all I have to do, like everything else, is just add this dot subject and this dot camera for position. And then I've just got to remember, when we initialize, back in the main code, when we initialize varch, we need to pass in our subject and the camera. So camera, that's fine, but at the moment we haven't created our subject. So we've got a choice, I guess. We can either create the subject up here, or we have to move this code down the bottom. I don't think I can use global here, can I? I have no idea. Let's try it. Global subject. No, that did feel to be really weird. Right. Let's just go down the bottom of our main code. And this is where we create our subject. The subject equals first person controller, cursor visible, gravity, grav speed, all of this kind of stuff. I guess we can move all of that to the top. I don't think we break anything by moving it up there. It'd be nice to keep kind of all of these together. So I'll create it here, our main character. There we go. So we've got all of that there, and now subject has gone the nice color in my text editor, VS Code. So we just passed in our subject and our camera, so that subject and camera are stored in those member variables. I'll just write a comment. We store, or we create a reference to these here so that we can use them in update. I'll put this to update so we know it's the update belonging to this class. And maybe we need to use them elsewhere. And elsewhere? Question mark. So now, I once heard a really good tip for writing comments. Write what the code does if it's unclear. Obviously, if it's clear what the code does, then you don't need to write a comment. And it's not good practice to write a comment, because if you're going to update the code, then you also have to update the comment as well. So you never want to double the work that you're doing. So basically try and make your code kind of self-comment. So if it's nice and clearly written, good variable names and things, you don't even have to comment it. But like here, the subject equals subject, camera equals camera, it's fairly clear what it is. But what you also need to know, more than really what the code is doing, is why you're doing it. That's the key question, because once you understand what a piece of code is doing, it kind of means that you understand how all the code kind of connects together. So always think, what does it do and why? What is it doing and why? Answer those two questions is a good way to write good comments. So that we can use them in the update function. So then you can go to the update function. No, it wasn't in the update function. It was in the build tool, so I need to go and change that. Well done if you realised that, or you felt confused. And here it is, this.camera and this.subject. So let's just correct the comment there. I'll just write build tool, because build tool is a function here and only here. Use them in build tool, and we can go to build tool to work out how they're being used. So I don't need to put that in the original comment. So I can say, oh, the BTE's position is calculated via the subject and the camera. Okay, so we've completed the build tool function, and it's being called by the correct place. Build. So this is a function that's only being called from within this module, so we don't have to think about the main code, hopefully too much. I'm just putting these all on the correct, also this next function, in the correct line, tab. There we go. So build, in other words, place a block at the BTE's position. First thing I want to do is, if this.build mode equals -1, return. So just in case we forget to deal with that eventuality, like we can build things even though we're not in build mode. We've got that there. We can take away this legacy code, the duplication, and now we just need to add in our this to BTE's position. We need some textures, so stone text. In fact, we're going to build new textures. What am I going to call that? I can't remember. Block text or build text, something like that. Let's just add this dot stone text at the moment. And color, again, we need to say this, keep writing vils, this dot block types, and then the index wants to be this dot block type, singular, without the S. Okay, and I have to remember that I've done that in case we have to update this system again for the color of our things. And we've got shake here. for our animation. And here we've got another function. So that is that taken care of? Yes, except for we've got to create this stone text. And we've got this mine. I'll just add in the this. Look at my fingers. I keep adding an extra L in that this keyword. Right, what are we doing? We're making the stone text. So I'll do that. Yeah, next to where I do the wireframe. This without an L, stone text equals, was it just stone.png? Let's just go and have a look on the main file. Stone text. Oh, is grass mono. .png. Well, good job I checked. Grass mono png. There we go. Good. Right, and we're on the last function. Okay, mine. E, so it looks like we're creating a... Oh, so this is where we just delete an entity if our mouse is hovering over it. We don't want to do that. Part of this this video, or the next few videos, this one, oh, it's almost an hour. So I might not be able to get onto properly doing the layers and things here. So just tidying up code. At least I've changed the mine function, so we're not going to do that anymore. So our real mining of the terrain, iterate over all the subsets that we have. So we are going to have to get a reference to the subsets. And I guess we want to do that in this function. Now, this is appropriate. We don't want to grab a reference to the subsets at the start, or do we? Let's get it here. There we go, subsets. So when we mine, oh, but we're not calling this from the main module anymore. So we can't just, where is it? In input, there we go. We're calling it here. If our right mouse is up, then we call mine, and we can't just say, oh, just get hold of the all the subsets, because this class doesn't know what the subsets are. So actually, and they are all created actually at the start of the main module. So we should just be able to reference them on initialization. So let's do that. So when we create a mining system, we pass in the subject, the camera, and the subsets. Now they don't exist again, so I'm going to have to kind of create those at the top of this file as well. Oh, we don't need our shellies anymore. I'll delete those. So we're tidying up our main file even more, which is satisfying. I can hear my chihuahua trying to escape. Oh. Instantiate our empty subset. So hopefully we can just grab that code from there and create those before we pass our subsets. Now what we don't want to happen is, that to happen. Oh, that's just instantiating our subsets. Oh, so presumably we're just doing that. Subsets equals nothing. Oh, and now we need a number of subjects. So we need cube model, cube texture. So we need textures and models before all of this stuff. Okay. So here's all the models and the textures. So we'll do those after our character. So now all of those are happy. So we just need to delete the subsets from later on, and the number of subsets we need. That variable. There we go. In fact, I'll take all of these. Oh, I couldn't quite fit on the subdictionary. Oh, and I'll take the Perlin noise. So I'll take all of those variables and put them near the top, which is a better place for them, to be honest. So our main character, loading textures and models, and I'll call this important variables, e.g. for terrain generation. Now hopefully nothing gets angry there. And all of that's happy now. Good. So we can pass in, this may be bad, the whole subsets and the subject and everything there into our mining system. But the mining system, now we were in the final thing, mining. It knows what the subsets are because it's got the subset. So we don't need to pass that in there because we can just grab this dot subsets. And we need this dot subsets and make a cave. And we don't really want to do that in the new system that we're going to generate next video. We want to take that out. And we haven't got floor. So that's probably going to be a very common function to call. So that's from NumPy, isn't it? Import floor. So that's made that happy. Record change in height in the cave dictionary. Right, so basically, at least I can say something about the new layers. What we're going to do to get what I showed you in the prepared code working, and if you want to, you can dive into that prepared code. I'll try and leave it as it is without correcting anything. You can just find that in the link in the description on GitHub, and you can go and have a look. Although it's going to be different to this because in my prepared code I was just working within the main module. So this new code that we're doing together here is going to be a lot cleaner, a lot better, and there will be slight changes because in the prepared code it's just the first time that I've done it. In this second code, hopefully it will be better. But let me just have a look at this last bit, and then we need to actually test it, run the code to see if it actually works. So what are we doing? We're iterating over all of the subsets. We're saying if any of the vertices... Oh, look at this. I've got BTX, because where I did replace all, I've got to be very careful with that. And just reintroduce. So that may have happened some other places where I haven't seen. So we go over all the vertices, and if any of those are within the position close enough to BTE, the build tool entity then we're moving all those vertices down by 1. Well, actually, we'll leave the Anoush cave system out. And actually, what we want to do, we don't want to move them all down. We're going to move, so the V index 1 means the Y position of this vertex or this corner is going to now be 999. So we're just going to lift it in the air, and that creates, or 99999. 999, no, 9999, 9999, and so that'll make it disappear, or give the illusion that it's disappeared. Total Y plus equals, what? Oh, right, I see, yeah. So we don't need the total Y anymore. Actually, we can delete that out completely. Oh, yes, and as I was saying at the very beginning of this, let's just have a look at our to-do list. Break from loop once mined. I'm just going to add done, because once that's done, we then want to break. There we go, we've done the mining. We could actually, because it's a function, let's just use return. Then we've broken out of the function. Okay, and we don't need to decide what the total is. There we go. So actually, we're not doing anything at the moment yet. We are generating it. Where are we generating it? Oh, we only want to generate it if V is true. So that actually wants to happen here, surely. We don't need to record change of height. V change equals true. Okay. So now let's just have a look at the to-do list. Layers and depth and terrain, didn't get onto that, but we're just on the edge of doing that. Create dedicated mining building module. We've certainly done that. Does it actually work though? 9.2.1. Does it work? Let's go and test that. Oh, I've done so much coding. Yeah. Init takes 3 positional arguments, but 4 were given. That should be fairly easy to correct. So we passed in subsets, didn't we? And we haven't sorted that out. Subsets. This dot subsets equal subsets. So I believe we're not making a deep copy of those subsets. We're just getting like a reference to the subsets. Else it won't work. Because we need a current idea of what the subsets are doing, because we're adding like different terrain heights and things to them. So again, let's just comment that. Needed, or a reference to the terrain's subsets is needed for mining, etc. Right, and we don't want to run the code from this module, we want to run it from the main file. So we're testing 9.2.1. Does it actually work as we go into 1 hour, 10 minutes? Oh, the code is actually running. Oh, and I can move around, brilliant. Let's just add G. Sorry, add G. I'll just press G so that we're no longer generating terrain. It's nice and smooth. Can we go into, the question is, can we go into build mode? F. Okay, we're in build mode, which is amazing because we're now using our dedicated thing. We can't go to different different block types because the key inputs we haven't done purposely. Can we actually build? Wow, everything's working. Sorry, not everything yet. And now we need to right click, and now things go wrong. Entity object has no attribute animate rotate Y. So let's just go and sort that out. Line 122 in mine. Now it's a lot easier to find 122 because it's in our module and in the function line. This animate rotation. Is it underscore Y? Oh, wait a minute. What's going on there? Oh, that's really strange. It should just be. Oh, did you see this? When I was correcting the code and I didn't notice, I've accidentally, I probably used some autocorrect there. Right, let's try that again. We haven't actually got that many problems. So the code was running, number one. That doesn't usually happen for at least 25 minutes. We've got build mode on. We can still build. We shouldn't be able to mine. Yeah, at least it didn't crash. So it didn't crash this time because we've taken that functionality off because we're going to replace it. And can we mine? We should be able to make terrain blocks disappear. Yes. Fantastic. And yeah, and nothing's happening now because we haven't, so we can still step up on like ghost terrain as it were, because we haven't corrected for that feature yet. That's going to come up in the next video. Right, so sorry that we haven't actually like added much or anything really to our code this video, but we've done a lot of the hard work in the background to create, what was it? We've created, over 100 lines of code from existing code and tidied everything up. So Anush, I hope you're happy, but we're definitely ready to now much more easily and more efficiently sort out our layers and things, and it allows the project to go forward. So, done. Break from loop once mine, so that did work actually. So the mining was happening a lot quicker. We did do that, so that's one small contribution. Create dedicated mining module, does it work? Yes. So different material types and layers, correct spawning with mining built block, improved block type selection, but the big thing is number 9. I should call that 9.0. That'll make me a bit happier. 9.0, layers depth in the terrain. So that's the important thing. So I'll save all that code and I'll put this on GitHub, and then the link will be in the description. So maybe I'll release this video as soon as possible, and then I'll try and do the next one tomorrow, but we'll see what time I've got. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.